repairing the rope. I just cut this piece off. You will notice, in fact, that the end is quite, so that needs to be a clean end. So I clean that end up. Throw that away. Magic rope. Magically invisible. This is now taped together. And that's why you need magic tape. That's all that is. Just matte finish magic tape, Scotch tape. This is not special tape. This is the same tape. I got like 12 of these in my office. Not for this trick. Just Scotch tape. The ends are put together, not pushed together. I find that that's very difficult. I kind of try to overlap a little bit like this and touch them together and then roll Scotch tape around. It is a little finicky, but it won't take long before you're quite good at it. There. Now that's going to hang down about here. You don't want it right on the bottom, you want it about here. So now you need to mark where you're going to tie your extra piece on. Yes, tie an extra piece on. There's an extra piece. What? I can't believe he would use an extra piece. Oh, my scissors are right here, sorry. So we'll cut off an extra piece here. I don't know. I want it about like that long. So I want it about that long. Whatever long that is. It's about the width of my body, according to the camera. Okay, don't be ridiculous, Greg. So, about that long. We need to take this piece. I like to put a little crease into it, like so. And now, find that piece of tape again. It's actually kind of hard to see. There it is. I like to have it about there. I don't know if you can see the tape, it's right there. Now I'm just going to take these two and put a piece of thread between them to tie those together. Usually just thread that we have right here in our pocket. This is cotton thread. You don't want to use like a nylon thread because it won't break easy enough. And you want to be able to break it. I just snap that with my finger. And all I'm going to do is take and tie them together, the center of this rope with that point that I've marked as the top. You'll find that it's a lot easier to tie a knot if you're not as unhandy as I am. Man, I'm having trouble tying a knot. That's why I got into magic. I'm so good with my hands. And around like that, and I just tie it at a double knot, and that's that. I actually trim the edges so that it doesn't really show anywhere. And then because I'm doing this in my living room, I pick it up so that I won't get yelled at. That is the position. So this join is hidden in your hand. If that breaks prior, actually, it really doesn't make a lot of difference because you just need to have the rope going through your hand like this, looped over and looped over, and you can hold those two together. It doesn't make any difference. You can't have it looped through the other one, it won't work. It's very simple. You start off, you talk about cutting the rope, and I just cut it right. I don't know if you can tell that that's right above where the tape is. Reason for that is I get as much extra use out of it as possible. I think I was explaining that to you, Kelly, that you wanted to cut that. So now the first cut is made there. You notice it's not even, and you cut he cut it into two pieces, even pieces. That's a little bit funny. You get a little bit of a laugh. Now, that's it. You're finished cutting for a little while. But all I'm going to do, lift the end up, tuck it into my hand, tuck both of these into my hand, like that. Then I'm just going to pull on this. That'll break that thread. My hand's open here to show you. But just as I pull that, you don't show this to the audience. That would be stupid. You pull it down like that, and that's the first restoration. But don't forget, you don't know you've restored it. So you have to pull it and go, no, that's not right, and then kind of pull on the rope. Like, no, that's not right. Because this is acting. This is a bit of acting. And then you just find the center of the rope, about the center of the rope, it doesn't matter, with your thumb. And all you're going to do is place it into your hand and just kind of drop your thumb out of this piece and pull up on this piece. So from the front, it really looks like all you did was go in here, into your hand, coming up into your hand, and just pulled that rope up. I actually, usually when I'm doing this type of a trick, when I'm using this method of cut and restored rope, what I'll actually do is place it into my hand and bring, now I didn't have to, all I'm really doing is moving this piece up. But when you do the whole thing, nobody notices that this didn't come up. Because theoretically, if I pulled this up this high, this should have risen this high. So you want to kind of avoid that thought process. So you bring it in, across, and just like that, bring it up. Now, this is your position. Then you hunt around for those scissors, because you can't remember where you put them, right here. And basically, you're just going to cut right there. So you cut, and you trim. These are why you need a fairly sharp pair of scissors. Okay, those snub-nosed things you get in elementary school are not going to work. You need good scissors. And you cut it again, and you cut it again, and you start to throw them as you cut them. So I'm just like that. Because then you're going to just pinch this one, which you can't really cut anymore. And you want to make it look like you cut it. So you're just going to pinch that one and like drop it off. And then grab the same thing, do that, and throw them down. Okay? Well, we're going to have to work on where you throw them, but because you're doing it that way, you might have to just pick them up later on in the show. Then scissors are put down, and now you're just in this position. I mean, your rope's already restored. You're actually fairly clean at this position. At this point, you tuck this one into your hand. You tuck this one into your hand. No, that's not right. And once again, you give it this because you want to get away from the fact that there might be a break, a magnet, something like that, and that's why you do this. But you're not consciously showing them, look, I'm doing this. You're doing it as kind of a no, and you're looking up and to the right, no, because you're trying to remember. Okay, looking up to the left, you're lying, you're making stuff up. Looking up to the right, you're trying to remember. So you're kind of looking, no, it's not right. Then you're going to hang the rope this way. Now, so far, it has been a really, really easy, and you may have seen this before, Winter and Tannic, I don't know. But what I'm going to do is take this up and change it by pinching. Okay, I'm going to get this one over there a little more, so that's just out of the way. Okay, so this piece here, as I come up, all I'm going to do is I got my scissors going, my little tweezers going here. Tweeze here and pull up there. So your position is that you've got the end of the rope is right here. So you're only going to cut this much of the rope off right there. Oh, sorry, I'm showing that too high. You're only going to cut off this much of the rope. That's the position that you're in. This has really just been wrapped around, so it's there, okay? So, ends are in your hand. You reach for the bottom of the rope, right? You can do it two ways. You can come through with your finger and thumb or your two fingers. I probably do it more. I think I teach it with the thumb and the finger, but then, and I just come up like that and bring it up. So all I'm doing is just gonna grab here, and while this is behind the hand, I make it look like I'm cutting the same piece. So there, and it should look like, obviously it should look like, all I'm doing is bringing that up. That's what it should look like. Okay, then I'm gonna bring this up and cut it. But what I'm going to do is switch that loop and bring it up over here. So that's your position. So now, that's cut, leaving you in this position. You've got two ends that are free. You got the middle of the rope, pretty close to the middle of the rope, and the little end. So what you need to do is get these ones out of the way without letting go of this right here, because it's got to look like two pieces of rope. They will be, in fact, different lengths. That's not important at this point. Now, I probably didn't make a big enough loop here. You might want to make a little bit bigger loop because you do have to tie it in a knot. Now, if I only tie one knot in a piece of rope, it's not going, right? Watch this. If I just tie one, it's not really tied until I tie the second knot. So what I do is I tie it and then I make it look like I'm going to tie a set, like I'm tying another one, even if I don't tie it, because the result would be like this. You trim the edges for no other reason than to make the next part easier. But you're explaining how Greg does it anyway, or how Greg taught you to do it. And you put your hand over the knot and you say, it looks like it's together. But of course, you can't let people see the knot. I forget what Scotty says there. You'll have to go back and view his. But it's like, no, I don't, maybe that's not how he did it. And you're just dragging that along. That's just tied around the rope. So it's here. You get your hand around it. And as you coil this around your hand, you're going to put your hand right onto that. See if I can get that so you can see it. And now I've got it here. And it's just coming, now it's here. Okay, around, around, around. And as I go for my scissors, and of course they'll be in a table beside you, you won't be doing this, right? But as I reach for my scissors, I get rid of it. In my case there, I just dropped it in my top pocket. I talk about waving the scissors, at which point I'm actually moving my thumb and finger out so I can grab the end of the rope here. You wave, and that's just getting ready for the end, so that sort of doesn't matter. Wave your, oh no, wait, you didn't use scissors. And then it drops down. Okay, and at that point, what you do, and don't do this in rehearsal because you don't need to, but do this like in rehearsal, go like, but if I ever, I'm sorry, I cannot remember. I'm gonna have to get Greg to show me that. I need more practice where he cut the rope into two pieces and then put them back together. And then off you go off stage.
You better pick all this rope up.